Keckstead from Forex Trading Unlocked, and we're here with a Forex Daily Market Analysis for you for December 3rd, 2019. And before we get into the thick of it, we're going to just pop up our disclaimer real quick to remind you that this webinar is just for illustrative purposes only. Now we'll jump to our live screen, and we have the Forex-Trading-Unlocked.com website pulled up. And we have the workstation, which is on the menu bar up here. We have this page pulled up where we have our economic calendar, which you can see right off the bat as you toggle down. We've had almost all the numbers really come out for today. We have some coming out, let's see, tomorrow. That will be impacting the EU as well as the UK and Germany. So the US, we have a little bit. The ADP national employment number, that could be interesting. We got PMI, and then we have the Bank of Canada rate decision as well. So yes, there are some numbers to take into account tomorrow, especially for obviously Canada with their potential rate decision. Oh, here we have, right as we pull it up, we have on the news part, Trump, Canada will get their NATO spending requirement, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what will that mean for the Canadian dollar? Who knows? We'll take a look at that in a minute. So we're going to close down the news section right here, and we're also going to get rid of the volume here, make this chart a little easier to see. As you can see, the Euro-US dollar has confirmed bullish strength once again with a nice little takeoff yesterday for it. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. A little delay here. So we got a nice little rising support line. We made a nice low back here on Friday, so which was a lower move low. So now the question is, was that the completion of this? Was this a corrective move lower over the past month? November, we saw the euro under pressure most days with only a little bit of relief, for just a couple trading days actually at a time. So otherwise, right now the market is in a neutral to bearish posture, but over the past few sessions, obviously showing some strength. So that is the key question. So we're going to use Friday's low as our main risk level for direction. So meaning that a failure here obviously would mean lower move lows, a continuation of the downtrend that the market has been in since, what is this? This is October the 21st. So you'd seen how we had this low here, we had a failure to make new highs, which was a lower move high, and then boom, we had this nice leg down, making lower move lows, lower move high once again, and the lower move low that was set on Friday. So the question is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, did we have a complete five-way correction move? Was that what was completed on Friday, and is this now the beginning of a basing for the Euro-US dollar? It's very possible that the Euro-US dollar could get a nice little lift for at least the next week or so. And the reason I say that is we're going to go and take a look at the dollar index. So the dollar index yesterday obviously took a turn to the downside. So here is very similar. It's like the euro, only it's inverted, because here we have, let's see, this was on November 1st, but it's hit the low here on the 18th. That's when dollar strength started to pop in before we had this little scare with this lower move low there. Oh, obviously I forgot to turn off one phone. All right, so what we have here is we had made a higher move high. This was on Friday. So the dollar index made a higher move high, but it also settled lower. So the question is, was this a corrective move higher before the dollar index goes lower? Now the dollar index, actually, let's look on the monthly, and this is going to be very interesting to look at. So on the monthly on October, we had a sell signal here for the dollar index. November had a nice corrective move higher. It was trading basically up for most of the month, but it was a grind. So now the question is was this move in November just a corrective move? Kind of like what our question is with the Euro-US dollar. Now this October, this big red bar here, this is a bearish engulfing sell signal. It's a high probable Japanese candlestick pattern. So if this signal still remains in play, then we do have obviously the beginnings of a nice corrective move going for the dollar index. So that being said, let's go back to our daily chart for the dollar index real quick. So you can see from the daily chart that this is your downward sloping resistance. So this would be our last bastion of our target if we were going to be a bull. You'd be looking for a challenge of this. Right now, I think that especially with the sell-off that we had yesterday, that's a big reversal of fortune. The dollar index got hit harder than the euro rallied. That's a big deal. So I would say for the dollar index, especially since we had that October sell signal, that this low right here would be our sell signal for the dollar index. So if we take this low out at around 97.68, this would be a confirmation that this higher, well, one, it would mean lower move lows after a higher move high, which would indicate neutral to lower potential trend trading for the dollar index. So let's go back to the euro US dollar, which looks like the complete inversion of this chart. So if this is playing into the dollar index trade right now, then I would say that if the dollar index continues to erode, you're going to most likely see the euro US dollar continue to make a run up towards higher levels. Now, how high? That's a very hard question, because normally the euro years ago, especially, would have you, it would move $1.50 in a day. So now for it to move $1.50, it takes almost 2 weeks, just because the euro has been in a very tight range for a year. So that being said, you can see that the euro US dollar is actually wedging right now. So I would key off of this low from Friday if you are bullish, and do not be long below here. Below here, you're going to be riding support, and that means the dollar index is probably getting a rally near its highs from October, and I would stay away from that, because then that would be a reversal of that sell signal. However, if the dollar index is eroding, then that would give lift to currencies such as the euro and the pound and some of your major crosses. That being said, we would most likely see a challenge of this downward sloping resistance line, and then we would be looking to make a play for this high here, which would be right below 112, so right around 111.82. So if we can get a breakout above this little downward sloping resistance, odds are we'll be challenging this area. Now, don't expect much. We may only get a pop above this line or up to a $1.12.5. The momentum after that could really start to run out of gas unless the dollar index starts to really erode. So we'd have to be in some situation that would dictate that. So now let's look at the British pound US dollar real quick and see what kind of a move it's doing. So now yesterday it was positive, but today is the day. Look at this. This is a very interesting little thing. We're right below this breakout line. So we've been watching this for a while. So we're looking for a rally above this $1.3020 area, which now, how high is this going to go? Are we going to have an explosive move like this? Most likely not. I don't think we'd have a move that would be this radical. This was a $7 move. Actually, it was higher than that. What was it? This was a low of 122 up to 120, almost 130. That's a big move, folks. That's an $8 move that happened in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, in less than 2 full trading weeks, this move manifested a monster rally. Now, I do believe that if the dollar index is falling apart, that the pound will have a good lift off that. Not necessarily like a $7, $8 trend rally, but it's a very good chance that we could challenge that $1.31 level, maybe even get up to $1.32. Not outside of the realm of possibility with that. So now let's look at the US dollar Swiss and see where we're at with that. And look at this. This one's falling apart. So rejected at parity once again. So yesterday it really fell out of bed, and now it's falling out of bed even more. This is a big indicator that the euro most likely is going to do the same, because this one is leading the charge. The big thing to look at here is the fact that it took out this higher move low. It is now trading below it. This takes us off the rally campaign and now has us on a neutral to lower bias for the US dollar Swiss, which would also go with our dollar index weakening scenario. So now let's look at the US dollar JPY, which is another big oh, here we go. Look at this one. See, all the major crosses over the past 2 days are unwinding against the dollar. Now, this one here has not made new lows, so you want to key off of this low here to see what it does over the next couple sessions. A failure here would also help to confirm the U.S. dollar really starting to weaken. Now, the irony is the U.S. dollar yen trade, when the dollar index has been under pressure, has typically not fallen off so much as the other currency crosses. Apparently, that is not the case the last 2 sessions. So that being said, I think we have a true trend move that is developing in the U.S. dollar. And the major currencies are starting to really show that. So now let's go and take a look at the Australian dollar, US dollar. This one's had a nightmare of a trade, basically because of the trade wars. And here, look at this. This one's like a balloon underwater too. Now this one came back today, making profits. It's a big move for the Australian dollar, US dollar, which really fundamentally right now, because of the trade impasse with China, and because Australia is so heavily tied to China, it looks like they're not going to, it's not as strong as the other markets, but still positive. So now let's look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and see where we're at with that. And here we go. This one here, like a balloon underwater, made new highs yesterday and now is making new highs again today. Very bullish. You can see the trend has been nothing but up since the month of October. This one is the one currency that's been very strong against the dollar, even when the dollar was trying to fight itself. Like here, we had a head and shoulders pattern that was forming right here, and look at this. Boom. This is where you can see this. Let me show you. Okay, so this line right here, as you can see, this was a shoulder that was forming. We went through it, and now boom. So this is a very, very bullish, very, very bullish breakout right here, folks. I would take mind of this. And now let's look at the US dollar Canada and see where we're at with this market. Okay, look at this. We have the Bank of Canada rate decision coming out tomorrow. Look at this sideways action, folks. So this one, all I can say is look for a breakout. The trend is obviously higher. However, right now, obviously, the rate decision is something that's really playing a big deal. I mean, the dollar index is getting hit over the past 2 days, and this was choppy sideways and even higher here. This is a trade I would be very careful of, folks. So back to the Euro US dollar where we started. We'll close on this one. And like I said, it was wedging. Today it's a neutral on the day. We had a nice strong play yesterday. You might see a little profit taking today, whatever. We have some numbers, and we also have that rate decision tomorrow. So maybe like a little bit of digestion here while it makes this, after this nice explosive move. And then we'll see as the week continues further that most likely the dollar index will be under pressure, and we'll see the Euro US make a play for this downward sloping resistance, and then hopefully this $11.82 area. So with that being said, we want to thank you very much for your time for this webinar, but real quick we want to show you this last slide. So if you're interested in learning about that sell signal in the dollar index, which is a high probable Japanese candlestick pattern, the bearish engulfing line, and how to trade it, you can read a book called High Probable Japanese Candlestick Patterns. It's available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle versions, and through it you can utilize the best buy and sell patterns used for over 400 years to give yourself a competitive edge against the Forex markets, the futures markets, the options markets, the stock markets, and all kinds of other markets. So with that being said, I'm Teddy Keckstedt from Forex Trading Unlocked. Please check us out every day at www.forex-trading-unlocked.com, and like, follow, and share us on YouTube also.